Friday, Jay.
There we go. A little bit of lag getting started, but it is Friday afternoon. Hey, Chris, what's going on?
Hey, Jay. Not that much. It's Friday. Excited for Friday. We'll talk more about why when we get to the end of our show. Got lots of fun things going on this weekend, so excited for that. Everyone out there, welcome to On the Rocks, the show where we talk about accounting and accounting adjacent information, mostly as it relates to e-commerce, but not only. Although today we're definitely talking a lot about e-commerce. I'm Chris Kino. He is Jay Kimmelman. We are the hosts of this show. Last week, we talked about tax planning. We touched on why it's important, and more importantly, why it's important to start doing now. We also highlighted a few steps that you should take to get your tax planning underway. This week, we're talking about something that's much less accounting and much more e-commerce, and that is 3PLs. 3PLs, we'll talk about what they are, what that even means, what those letters and numbers stand for. That's a bunch of gobbledygook right now, but we'll talk a little bit more about it, about why you should care about it, what they are, why, when they can be valuable, or also when they might not be valuable, and highlight a few factors to consider if you're thinking about using a 3PL. But first, what happened since last week? Jay, as I was putting together today's agenda, I had the realization that it's already been almost an entire week since Joe Biden stepped out of the presidential race, and it was a thing that I tweeted out at you that night of like days you'll always remember again. So we have within the period of like 2 weeks we've had maybe two separate examples of days that you'll always remember. This one actually may have a little bit more of an impact to listeners out there because there may be actually some strategy that goes around this change where a president being or a former president being shot at doesn't quite change strategy any. Having a new person at the top of the ticket that might. Jay, I saw a couple of different posts around maybe some tax policy or some tax thoughts around what Kamala Harris might want to do. Have you dug into that at all? Do we have any thoughts or impacts of what a change on the Democratic ticket might mean for people if they end up winning?
I have not looked at that yet, and
Yeah.
I haven't seen much about it. I'm
Right.
mostly seeing, the change in the energy and how the tactics are changing on both sides, and it's going
Yeah.
to be an interesting next couple of months. I can't wait to see how this all shapes out and comes down to the wire.
Yep. Personally, it's just I'm gonna have to keep reading Game of Thrones. Keep myself thinking about it too much and just focusing on some other things. I think. But for everyone that's listening, as we learn more about what that means from a tax strategy standpoint, we will highlight that for you if it matters or if it makes much difference or if we think there's anything particularly interesting. Um,
And as you stated, you're reading Game of Thrones to distract you from things. It's
uh,
probably best I start doing something like that because I
yeah.
am picking both sides apart, and my family's like, enough, and enough of all of this. It's like, yeah, but
Right.
it's like, when you're looking down at it, it's like
Yep.
you could pick it all apart, and I
Sure.
don't care what side you're on. I mean, it's some of it's funny, some of it's sad, some of it's truthful, some of it's
Right.
not. It's just it's there.
Yep.
And it's just interesting to look at it. And then God reading tweets, and it's like, okay, is that real, or was that real? It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I'll throw it out as fact and see if it sticks in the house. I mean, I'm not going to do that outside and
Right.
whatever, but you know
Oh yeah.
it's been interesting.
It has definitely been interesting. There other news, not related to days you might remember forever. Probably the IRS. Our guy Danny Werfel. He chatted some folks up again. It sounds like, and had some things that he wanted to tell us all about. So there's a few IRS updates this week. One, it looks like the IRS is adding more e-file business forms, which that's definitely a very positive thing. The more things that you can do and file electronically, the the better and more efficient all of uh, the the compliance activity that goes around that will be. Right, so that's definitely a positive. The IRS is also looking to enhance online accounts. So they're looking to do I think I saw maybe 4 or 5 separate little things that they're looking to do to make the online account activity a little bit easier to manage, a little bit easier to see, a little bit easier to utilize. And so I thought those were both great positives to see. Right, the funding going to some positives for sure. Jay, did you have any specific thoughts you wanted to add around that stuff?
So when I saw the story about this, I'm like, oh, online business accounts, or business online accounts. Was not aware it was available yet. So I
Mm,
logged in, and my S corp was there, and I'm like, okay, cool. So
yeah,
I'm like, okay, how do I add my Schedule C, my sole proprietor company, or my single
right,
member LLC? And
sure.
the only option it gave me was to add a clean energy account.
Oh, interesting.
And
Hmm.
basically, I went through the process, added my company, and lo and behold, I can now process tax credits through it, but I do not see my account. So I
Interesting.
guess that's still good. At some
Yeah,
point, it'll work through. But I started
right.
looking at a few things. So,
Yeah,
and as you're aware, 3 days this week, I made calls to the IRS. One
yeah.
day, that being yesterday, I was successful at getting through. Although both
Fantastic.
of the requests I made were uh, pushed down, that I need to call back in 8 weeks. But so with the Inflation Reduction Act, they're getting, and this is from a Treasury reporting report, $58 billion. Of that, they have collectively spent $5.5 billion.
Oh wow.
Now,
Yes. Yeah.
the
Left.
key here is they've spent 43% of the taxpayer services budget of $3 billion, and they spent 27% of the technology budget of $5 billion. So I see these as actually helping.
Yeah.
The other side of that, and I lost my graph because I have too many screens open right now, but at least that infrastructure is really helping between the enhanced individual online account, the delegated access that tax pros can get to their client accounts, which is really helpful,
Right.
the business online account, and then tools like the document upload tool so
Oh
that you
yeah.
could just take a
Huge.
document and upload it. So, I mean, we heard that they're going to arm IRS agents and send them out to collect money with handguns. No, they're building infrastructure, making it
Right.
easier for us. Although that call that did go through, mind you, the entire time the guy was online was completely static filled, and I could barely make out what he was saying. I'm like,
Oh
can you
no.
say that again? Can you move to the left side of the room or something? Yeah, it was really bad. But you
Oh
know what? I got through what I needed to, and there you go.
yeah. No,
So
it's great. It's good to see those improvements happen.
for
The
sure.
Danny also talked about a thing that was at least a challenge, and that was that there's still issues or areas for improvement around people who've had identity theft issues, and so it sounds like the IRS is actively trying to make that process better, but it's still pretty hard to do or to fix. Um,
Yeah,
so
and part of the problem there is the traditional tax shop is targeted by the scammers because they check the trash, they check everything for any personal identifiable
mm,
information.
mhm.
And that's why you have to have your security or your WESP, your written informational security plan, so that
Yeah,
you can be prepared for that. So it's really important. Yeah,
right.
identity theft is growing. One of those other tools happens to be being able to get or update your IP PIN from your iPhone or any mobile
Oh yeah.
phone. So yeah, so they are definitely working on identity theft issues.
Good job, IRS. Keep up the good work. Uh, Use that other 50 billion that you haven't touched yet, and continue to make this progress. That'll be fantastic. I'm sure.
Please.
Absolutely. One other thing that the IRS did, we talked about this very briefly, but it became official. They did extend the deadline for the victims or whatever the people are they victims? What happens when a hurricane hits you? Are you a hurricane victim? Are you a hurricane? What are you?
Yeah, a victim, a
Victim?
sufferer.
Yeah, a sufferer. So they extended the deadline for the sufferers, the victims of Hurricane Beryl, out until February. So just like you kind of expected, Jay, it was out quite a ways. Um, am
Except
I
it was
wrong?
February 3rd.
Oh yeah, it's like a random day in
It's
February,
like,
which is
what's
kind of
with the
weird.
third on that? It's like, really? And, I was talking to somebody else I was working with on tax stuff today, and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, yeah, here we are, we're at the end of July, but we know that before September 15th, Florida's going to get hit with a hurricane or some
Yeah,
tropical storm. God, I'm not hoping for it, but,
right.
since COVID, every year since, our tax year has been extended because
Mm,
of hurricanes here. So it's like we've not had an off season since 2019. So
we
this year has, as we noted here a few weeks ago, has started
yeah.
off with a bang. Most powerful storm as early as it was, and we've had some conditions that have kept the tropics clear. Well, next week we're going to see something. Just prediction here. Yeah. So I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
not the case,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's keep positive thoughts on that.
You're right. Yep. Positive thoughts for sure. I did try to look where February 3rd fell. It looks like maybe that's the first Monday after the end of January. So whatever that would be, one, 2, 3, 4 months, or three and a half months, something like that. So it's just a couple month
Yeah.
extension there. So we'll see how that goes. I also saw in a couple different spots. This isn't necessarily related to the IRS, but kind of feels like it might be FinCEN, and I can't remember what FinCEN stands for. But they expect to see millions of hours of people seeking BOI access. So we talked a long bit back about filing your BOI reports. That's your informational report about your business. And it sounds like they expect a lot of people to be asking about that. A lot of people wanting to get information about businesses. Millions of hours seems like a lot. So that was interesting to me. It seems like a lot of people are going to be interested to see what actually gets filed there. So,
Yeah,
so
there's some ambiguity though, just getting it filed. So
yeah,
I mean,
sure,
if you think
still,
about all the businesses that we have out there, let's say they
yeah,
do it themselves, it's going to take at least 30 minutes to do it. So
right.
that's probably where that time comes from.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm sure somebody. I don't know how this data is going to be stored. If it's going to be accessible, maybe under FOIA or something like that. Or that's Freedom of
right.
Information Act.
Yeah.
But who knows? Now, FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network.
All right. There you go. Great. Thanks, Jay.
Actually, have the
Education over
page
here.
open.
Oh,
Actually, have the
nice.
page open because I have to do like six BOI reports.
BOI.
So yeah,
Tough break. Too many companies, Jay. You own too many things. Uh,
yeah.
yep. Too
The
funny.
life of a serial entrepreneur.
Well, that's right. Absolutely. So again, as a reminder, do that. Know that it might take a little bit of time, but like Jay said, it's about 30 minutes. It's not a huge disaster. And then if you need advice, reach out to a good advisor. Follow and get some feedback. Um, that was all the accounting specific related news that I saw. I did see a few things in the e-commerce space that I thought might be interesting or that I wanted to bring up here today. The first one, um, Prime Day was last week. This week, Amazon got to got to work with the Better Business Bureau, filing lawsuits to fight fake reviews, which I thought was super interesting. I don't know what will come of that. I do think it will be interesting. I'm not even really sure who you sue when people are writing fake reviews, but I do think that for e-commerce entities, right, so much of your traction comes from the reviews that you get. That if you're getting fake reviews, and especially if it were from like some competitor who's giving you bad ones, this may be a big deal,
Yeah.
right? And getting fake reviews both ways, right? Of just like a whole pile of your competitors using a whole pile of fake reviews that are positive, and you're just trying to do it straight and narrow. Like you don't want to get hosed that way. Um, and and so it's good to see that the Better Business Bureau is looking into this and attempting to fight to make sure that the reviews are really reviews, that they're people that have actually used your product and that but you're getting good information when people look at what's out there. So I was pleased to see this. Jay, any thoughts on fake reviews?
Uh, no, no real thoughts,
Sure.
but
If you ever
it's real.
made a
I
fake
mean, I've
review.
had clients that have gone through it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Sure.
Yeah, where competitors are doing it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it'll be good to see what happens there. One other thing I saw as I was doing some just international research this week, TikTok Shop is coming to Ireland and Spain. And so I do think that TikTok Shop platform is one where there's going to continue to be growing use of as the platform continues to be utilized and as people really start to understand how that shop integration works with different platforms, Shopify, whoever else it may be. Um, it's going to be an opportunity for you to sell your products through that shop, and to be able to now have maybe even an international reach. So just a thing to be aware of. TikTok Shop getting a little bit more around the world.
And
One
there's
other.
also an affiliate play there as well. So
Oh, is
say
that
you
right?
don't have products to sell, you could actually become an affiliate and do videos and promote those products and sell through links on your TikTok page.
Yeah,
So
there you
yeah,
go.
ways to make money everywhere there is. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So if you're in Ireland or in Spain, know that may be an opportunity for extra income coming forward. Um, one interesting thing that I wanted to talk about more broadly, not specifically about this particular company, but that I thought was an interesting story to read, is an online marketplace in the Netherlands or out of the Netherlands. It's called BOL. I'd never heard of it before, but they have offered a new ad option to highlight both your brand and potentially an assortment of products in your search results. So if you're looking for something, they may like, I don't know exactly how it would work, but it sounds like it may just pop up your brand information, maybe your brand page, or a little subject picture of your brand with maybe a few items of yours that are relevant to that search. And I thought that was an interesting sounding way for advertising to expand. Um, and especially in the e-commerce space like this, like being able to say, well, I know you searched for this particular thing, and my thing's not exactly that, but I'm pretty close to that, or I do have a product that is that, but I also have these other products that are comparable that may also be relevant to you as the user of that product. I thought that was an interesting expansion of how advertising and ad spend could be utilized. um, Jade, what do you have any thoughts on that?
no, it just sounds like a great way to do cross promotion. So
Right, right. I think so
yeah.
too. And so it's good to see that. I was trying to think about when I use Amazon if they do that already, and this is just like they're just catching up. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yeah, maybe a little bit, but not really. Like if I'm sure searching for men's shirts or something, like I get men's shirts, not like men's shorts by whatever Real Essentials or whatever brand it is,
Hmm.
right? So I thought it was an interesting adaptation to advertising overall. Um, so fun to see, and it will be as the e-commerce and marketplace space continues to grow and continues to change. Like it will be interesting to see how ad play, ad spend, ad opportunities, like what those end up looking like. Because I'm sure there's lots of ways that we haven't thought about yet to use that space that you see, um, and for those for those companies to generate a little extra revenue for themselves. So I'm sure they're looking into it constantly of what are some other options that we could use here. Um, what what other news, Jay? What did we miss anything? Did we highlight everything that was important this week that you'd seen?
I
And
think we hit it there. Yeah, I
yeah,
think we're
yeah,
good.
not a huge news week. Outside of the big political news, right? Not too much going on in the accounting space, and that's kind of consistent with the past couple weeks, right? Where this is
Yeah.
that time where everyone's kind of resetting and getting back to getting ready here, because those deadlines are coming, but they're still a little bit away.
Yeah,
Um,
summer vacation season's starting to wind down.
right.
Back to school is getting ready to start. So yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah, I know. My daughter, she there every Friday at the little daycare center over the summer. It was splash day, so you'd like put them in the swimsuit or whatnot, and they
Oh
go
yeah.
like play around on the little splash item. And this was the last week for splash day, and it made me think, oh my gosh, is the summer really already over? Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know what the school session is in in Florida, but here in Texas, it really isn't that far away. So
School
wild.
start on the 10th here in
Of
Florida.
August. Yeah, there you
Yes.
go. So yeah,
Now
it
for
is right around the
Abby,
corner.
she doesn't start 4 weeks from today. She has to report to
There
check
you
in
go. Yeah,
to her
so
dorm.
college a
So
little
yeah.
bit later,
So
pretty
yeah,
consistent.
mark our calendar. We will not be here live on the 23rd of August.
Got it. Good to know. Good to know. Be ahead of
Yes.
it. All right. Today, Jay, I'm just drinking water today. It's bedazzled. These are I know water. My daughter at the daycare center, they give her little stickers each day at the end
Oh,
of the
there you go.
day, put on her little hand, um, and and she always asks for a second one. She likes to be balanced. And one day I was walking to go pick her up when it was a little cooler out, and she stuck the stickers on my cup, and I haven't taken them off. That's been a little bit back, but it's a constant reminder of my
Yeah.
daughter when I'm drinking water. Jay, what are you drinking
Yeah.
today?
I am drinking my old standard bourbon and Coke.
Is it Boulet today or
It
1490?
is Belay, yes.
Boulet. All right,
It is
nice,
Belay. Yeah.
nice.
But like you, I'm not wearing any stickers, but I have my Father's Day sign from Abby still up there from June.
Yeah,
She
love
she
that.
had it on the window, and then I didn't make it the full day because I had to go to Scaling New Heights. So I come home and
Mm.
it was moved to my office. So it's been there ever since.
That's wonderful. A constant reminder
Yeah.
of how much you're appreciated. Love to see
Yep.
that. All right then. So your business, you're starting to get real traction. Your products are flying out of your storage space. Maybe that's your guest bedroom. Maybe that's a small office facility. Maybe that's part of a little warehouse. But it's starting to get a little bit overwhelming. So what's the next step? Well, there's loads and loads and loads of options out there of what you can do next. But the one that we're going to talk about today is third party logistics. So that's three. That's the third. 3PL, third party logistics. So first, what are third party logistics, or what's a third party logistics partner or a 3PL partner? Um, and so Jay, I think the way to go to approach that is to give an example or just to lay out exactly what it is. And so,
Yeah.
um, sure.
So think of Amazon if it wasn't the marketplace.
Mm,
They are doing your warehousing and shipping and fulfillment of your products.
that's right.
So they are a 3PL, but they are really selling the product through their marketplace and such. So
Right.
think of it as an outsourced warehouse and shipping team that will take
Yeah,
care of your products, ensuring the products are properly cared for and properly and quickly shipped to your customer so they can have a great experience using your products.
that's right. Um, and so that again, it's just like as we are outsourced accounting and advisory services, they're outsourced warehousing and logistics services. That's basically exactly what they are. Um, I I, as long as I can remember, 3PLs have existed. Although they kind of are all in the background. You don't always hear about what a 3PL is. Jade, is there
Right.
there's some history of have 3PLs been around since the Dutch and trading or whatever, or are these pretty new? Pretty do you know? Do you have any?
I
Do
would
you have a good
I would say
idea?
they've been around for at least the most recent history here. I don't know if they
Yeah,
go back to the Dutch days, but yeah, I mean, sure there was some sort of semblance of it back then as well. But yeah,
that's right.
we'll talk about the current version of it. And
Yeah,
if you think about it, they have really provided a service that fits. It's almost very nichey, and we'll get
yeah,
into that when we get into some of the specifics. But
yeah. And and I think that they've obviously really grown significantly
Yeah.
around e-commerce because when you had to go to a retail store to pick something up, you didn't really need it to be delivered by an outsourced third party. While I say that, but that may have been like a B2B like style like retail shop. You're just using a portion of a warehouse, and maybe there was some logistics that were happening in that.
Yeah.
But I think largely, like 3PLs became significantly more popular when e-commerce became significantly more popular. So I guess, although I have not done any research on this, I'd guess over the past 25 years or so, there's been a big boom in the 3PL space. Jay, do you have any 3PL vendors that you just like know about or have thought of or that you see pretty regularly?
So the most recent client, we never really used them. When we took
Hmm.
over, we they actually moved all the shipping to their own warehouse. But in the past, ShipBob was a big one that I've had clients
Mm,
using, and they integrated directly with Shopify, and it worked
right.
really well. We'll get into how that all works down the road, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at a list here. So DHL
Mm,
is a 3PL, UPS, Shipmonk, FedEx, Uber now, and Ryder
really?
Systems, and CH Robinson is the largest apparently. But you
Sure
know,
they are.
these companies do shipping, and they have large distribution warehouses, so it helps them ship product. And we'll get into it afterwards. Why do this? So um,
Yeah.
yeah, but those are the
So there's
leaders in the industry,
right.
and
So there,
you know,
and no, that's fine. I was just going to say, I think that the 3PL industry is pretty fractured because it does take a lot of capital to own a warehouse um, and then to manage it as well. And so you'll find like one warehouse is managed and operated by one 3PL, and so there can be a lot of fracturing in this space because they're just the amount of capital that it takes to have just one is pretty
right,
substantial, and then not only to do that, but then to like scale that and to become one of the what CH Robinson or whoever it is, or Shipmonk or something like that. Like those
yep,
are they have lots and lots of locations. That means that they have lots and lots of expenditure, lots of capital. And so I think that you'll find that most of these places are likely 1 to 2 or 3 warehouses. Um, there and there are lots and lots of options out there. And so when there's lots of options, the thing that starts first is right now that you know what they are, right now that we know what a 3PL is, why would you use them? What are the positives of a 3PL? And I think the biggest one is the same thing that I would always say is the reason that you would want to use an outsourced advisor. There's two of them, I guess. The first one is that they have expertise in this area. Like they are dedicated to doing this, and because they're dedicated to doing this, they're likely to do it better than you would on your own. You as a business owner, you as someone who has created this product or created the business that runs this product or creates this product, whatever. You that's what you know about, but delivery and logistics and all that stuff, you may know a lot. You may know a lot about it because you've had to ship a lot of product. But that's what these folks do, and so the first is that you can get this expertise. You can you can kind of take everything to one place. The second is that it helps you to go back and focus on your core business. So the thing that you built, the thing that you love, you can now focus more on that. You don't have to worry so much about making sure the products are being delivered because you can source that to hopefully a really valued partner. Um, Jay, what do you think? Are those your two favorite positives, or did I miss a good one?
you actually mentioned both of my thoughts earlier.
Oh,
So
okay.
think about it. You've started your e-commerce empire, and
Yeah.
you have your closets, your spare bedrooms, your garage, your bathrooms full of product,
Yeah.
and you're having to run to UPS or FedEx. They might pick up at your home, but I doubt they will.
Right.
And so that's part of it. And I'm sure if you are married, your spouse is like, get this shit out of my house. So that's just one side of it. So
Yeah,
it not only will it consume you during your business day, but then it's all around you. You're immersed in product. So you
right.
can't escape it and take a break. Now, the other side of it is, think about what you said earlier. What do you need to have in order to have these warehouses?
Yeah, a bunch of capital.
Capital. And
Right.
that's just it, growing and scaling e-commerce brands, they are using their capital for inventory and
Yep.
ads. It's
That's
not
it.
until they hit that next level that they will have that capital to invest. And even if you're going to rent a warehouse, you still have to have quite the capital, because first of all, you have to put down first last month's and a deposit on that rental space. And then
Right.
you have to put in all the infrastructure. You have to get all the racks. You got to get a forklift. And yes, I know all this from experience
That's
from my
right.
manufacturing days, because we did the same thing. We
Forklift
had
doesn't drive
two
itself.
warehouse. Yeah, I mean, we did it ourselves because we needed all of that infrastructure to
Right.
house all of our products.
Right.
And while we had all that, we ended up expanding location, and we actually had extra shelves. So we actually did fulfillment for customers that we were manufacturing for. So we
Nice.
were kind of a
A
3PL, but not
3PL.
really.
Right.
But yeah, so it takes a lot of capital to do this.
Yeah.
And and when you're starting out, you need every bit of that capital to grow that business. So,
Right.
in my opinion, it's so much better to conserve that capital. Wait
Yeah.
till you have it, or you can borrow and buy that warehouse. Because if you do buy that warehouse, that is quite the investment. And as what we've seen with real estate over time, you know, you could sell the business, maintain the warehouse, and there's a lot you could do with that.
Right.
So, I mean,
Uh,
that could be your retirement right there.
that's right. It's
So
your 3PL.
that for sure.
Right.
So that's a lot of it there. So
Right, and what I was saying too, I is the capital isn't just the building and the rent and all of the stuff to go in the building. Like then you also have to pay people to manage the building. You have to so the forklift doesn't drive itself, right? Somebody has to drive the forklift. Somebody
yep,
has to or you have to build a machine that can drive the forklift for you, right? So there's which is an
right.
additional significant capital investment, right? So there
Yeah, for sure.
that would just be impossible, right? And so one of the other things that's a positive about a 3PL is that you can gain cost savings. So rather than paying for an entire warehouse and an entire set of people to manage it for you, you can pay for just a small chunk, just the chunk you need.
Right.
And you can utilize the space that you need for your products while allowing someone else to deal with the HR issues of making sure someone can drive a forklift around, of making sure products are getting on the UPS truck. But you'll also see that same cost savings in other ways. Because you're going to get some time back, right? You're not going to have to drive to UPS every day or FedEx every day or both. They're going to pick up directly from that warehouse. They'll definitely be there, and
Yep.
and you want to take the time to do that. You may also be able to take advantage of some of the 3PL's favorable rates. They may have
Yep.
some rates with some of those partners that you may also be able to utilize. So
Yeah.
there's
Think about it.
savings
You're
there too.
shipping you're shipping 100 to 500 orders a day. They're shipping 5,000 to 10,000 orders a day. So that
Yep.
volume is buying them much greater discount on shipping and other services. So yeah, that's all going to add up and save you money,
Yeah, and so you end
especially
up
in
being
this day when, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, no, no.
most of the time you are discounting or giving away shipping now because that's what consumers want. So you have to bring that cost as low as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of making customers experience a little bit better, one of the other positives here is that you will likely have an increased customer experience, right? You're got a better support opportunity because they can reach out directly to you. You have someone that can follow up for you on your behalf. instead of having to pile all your 10 to 15 boxes up to go to UPS at the end of the day, like they may have 3 different times or whatever, maybe loads of times, maybe hourly check-ins with UPS. So you're getting product out the door faster. You don't have to worry about printing labels because all of that's being taken care of. You don't have to like do that and stack them all together because your car can only hold so many, and you just do the next ones the next day or whatnot, right? You have this opportunity for items to get to your customers faster, which can be not can be, is most definitely an improvement on the customer experience. That also can help to facilitate and streamline the return experience as well. So if for whatever reason someone wants to return a product, that utilizing a 3PL can help make that process more streamlined and more efficient for you as well. So there's that positive as well. And one other that we haven't really talked about is that you do share a little bit in risk, right? When you're using a third party, they are going to take on some of that risk of if I don't know, if they become a victim of a hurricane, whereas a lot of that risk, if you're working out of your own bedroom, your own guest room, like that risk is all on you.
Yeah.
And so you do have this opportunity to share and to mitigate some of the risk that's associated with holding inventory, which can definitely be a positive. And the same with shipping, with freighting, with if your 2-year-old daughter is running around to the guest room and throws your fragile thing on the floor, right? It's just broken, and there's nothing that you can do. But if your 3PL forklift driver is a little not that cautious, then that changes the risk profile a little bit for sure. What do you think, Jay? What other positives are there to 3PLs that we haven't touched on already?
So another factor that helps lower shipping costs is
Yeah.
you can strategically use a warehouse that has better shipping routes or lower transit times, so you can use ground more efficiently. So think about in Florida. So with UPS, any shipment in Florida will get to anywhere in Florida the next day.
Right.
But if you were based out of
DFW,
let's say Charlotte or DFW, you have a greater reach on some of that. Now, DFW is in the middle of Texas, and Lord knows it's 3 days to get to the eastern border of Texas there. But those are some of the things. And it's like you also can mitigate those weather risks by moving out of disaster-prone areas like Florida,
right?
And moving somewhere up in near, let's say Memphis, maybe near one of the shipping hubs, like the FedEx hub in Memphis, or
right.
I'm not sure where the UPS hub is on the East Coast anymore.
No, that's okay.
I think they have a couple of them now, but things like that, it lowers your cost, mitigates your risk, and gives you better experience because it's getting there faster.
Right. And the other thing about that too is that the majority of 3PLs, while they may be one warehouse, they may have a couple, and they may have one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, so that you can both improve the delivery time by being able to get to parts of the United States faster, but you can also improve the cost because you're not having to ship from Florida out of your house. You can ship instead from Atlanta or from Denver or something like that, where they're strategically located to make that more efficient for you. So there can be a lot of value to you from a cost savings perspective, but also to your customers from that increased and enhanced delivery timing and experience generally.
And that latter, though, you have to actually pay attention to your inventory much closer to make sure you don't run out in one warehouse versus the other, and make sure you're distributing it to the warehouses equally. So I've seen that also in the past. So that's a good option, but you do have to pay more attention to it.
Well, and it does need to be managed, right? But the good news is that you don't have to manage it out of your bedroom. At least you can manage it from somewhere else, which is nice.
Yeah, and you can manage that from anywhere.
Yeah,
Just
right. Exactly. That is
yeah.
that's the way to say it for sure. Now we've talked a lot about these positive things, and I think Jay and I both agree a 3PL partner has loads and loads and loads of positive benefits. But of course, it's not all roses all the time. There are some potential downsides of 3PLs. So we don't want to just glaze over these. The first and most significant one is one that Jay just described. You lose control. Because right now, like if you're shipping from your house, if you're shipping from your whatever office facility, like you own that process completely. You know everything that's happening because you're doing it all yourself. By partnering with a 3PL, you now have introduced a dependency on that 3PL. And especially if the 3PL, for whatever reason, isn't up to snuff or isn't doing a great job, you could potentially run into quality issues that you can't control. And so that loss of control can be challenging. It's not a it is a thing. It's very real. um, the other thing, of course, is that when you're doing your own shipping, you don't cost any extra. And 3PLs most certainly are not free. So there are costs. There are lots of costs because not only are they going to charge you for picking and packing. So they may for putting the things into a box, for making sure that they get onto the trucks, but they may also charge you for holding the inventory at all. They may charge you for some of the packaging that they need to utilize. So boxes, you may have a box fee. There are all kinds of different charges that could come from helping to facilitate your shipping. So those are things that are really critical to understand as you get into the relationship with the 3PL, to know what those charges will be, what you are being charged for, and to understand fully like what that really means and how that's going to impact you. And probably to do a little bit of a cost analysis of, okay, I have this much inventory at home. What does that mean from a storage perspective? How much money are we talking about here? And so it is really really important in when considering a 3PL to understand all of the costs associated with that contract. um, Jay, what are some other downsides to 3PLs or potential downsides?
Well, one thing that I saw when it came to billing from 3PLs, the bills are tens of pages long because they itemize every order on it, and
Hmm.
it can be very confusing because there's sometimes two or three lines per order, and
Oh
and you start analyzing it, you start seeing that you might be overcharged in some cases. It's not that they're doing it on purpose, but the way the systems are set up, they might have already billed it on the last bill, but they got billed again, and you got to pay attention to it.
yeah.
So as your usage is going to increase and get to the higher levels, you have to pay more attention to it to make sure that you're paying the correct fees. And yeah, if you're on top of it, you should be able to break that down into percentages and be able to look at that and say, okay, we're paying 5% of our sales, and that's what's coming out. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, it's 8.5%. Well, you got to look at it, see what's going on.
Yep.
There are hidden fees every now and then discrepancies. So you got to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So
The one other thing that can be a potential downside is one that Jay mentioned as well, and that's that communication and coordination, particularly if the 3PL has separate locations. You want to make sure that you're shipping to the East Coast from the East Coast and not from Denver or somewhere on the West Coast. You want to make sure that your inventory levels are balanced and can meet your demand in the different warehouses for that same reason, so that you're not shipping just across everywhere, and so that you don't stock out. You also just have to talk more often. You have to understand what your inventory levels are, which means that you also have to have some kind of an integration or connection to the 3PL's platform. So you need to be able to manage that, to be able to understand what they're seeing, and then also to be able to connect whatever platform you're using, Shopify or whatever else, to their system. And so as is often the case with technology, sometimes those systems don't always talk the way that you'd like for them to, and so there can be challenges or issues with technology and with the data sharing uh, from from marketplace to 3PL, and then also from 3PL to inventory management system. So there are lots of things that you have to manage, be aware of, and be focused on as far as both integration issues and coordination of all of the relevant parties. Um, what
So
other are there other
speaking
like
of
integrations? Yeah, like
coordination, between
yeah.
coordination, the systems, etc. So when you are using an inventory system and you're syncing cogs, because that's the most important part of that,
Hmm.
is the sales are easy to pull. They come through Shopify, they dump on into the accounting system. The
Yep.
cogs got to come through something, and
Right.
in most cases, you could use an inventory system, let's say Zero Inventory Plus, which is set up for, I wouldn't say it's set up for, but it's optimized for 3PLs. You
Oh, okay.
sync your order from Shopify after they've clicked, they shipped it. And then that order will come on in and it will process it. So when you have that happen, you have to have inventory available in the inventory system in that warehouse.
Right.
And so, when you're setting it up, you're going to adjust that inventory and make sure it's there to what's there when you start. But then you start creating purchase orders. So when you create a purchase order, what do you have to do on the other side of that purchase order to get the inventory in the system? You have to receive
Mm,
it.
that's
And
right.
then to get the cost per unit, you have to invoice it and get
That's right.
landed cost. And then once you've done that, that order processes, okay, it says SKU 521, 725 an item times 10, boom, COGS booked. But
Right.
I had a client that did not do that, and they refused to receive purchase orders. So
Oh man.
month after month, the orders would stack up and they just wouldn't sync. And they're like,
Oh,
why do we have no COGS? I'm like, because you won't receive your purchase orders.
right.
And
Yeah. And so.
the, res- the response to that was, well, we need to change our system and get NetSuite. But to this day, they also brought their warehousing in house, but I still don't think they were
Mm,
doing all of that anyway. Which,
yeah.
if you have somebody, putting a band-aid on it and enabling them, well, they don't have to do it. So yeah.
Right. Well, and yeah, it just speaks to how important it is because if you don't know the inventory that you're actually sending out and that you're not getting good information from your 3PL, that that problem is significant. And so making sure that those that your systems are all talking together properly,
Yeah.
and that all of that stuff is working importantly, like is working properly is important.
Yeah.
Um, and so so if that doesn't work properly, or if you have, or even if it may take a long time for you to get to where that works the way you'd like for it to do, that can be a potential problem with a 3PL. One other
Yep.
is that that when you're delivering the products yourself, you know exactly how it looks, you know exactly what you're delivering, and you because you're spending a lot of time with it, you're maintaining a high level of consistency. And so when you use a third party, while you'd love for that to be the case, it's not always the case because it may be someone else's shift. Someone may not put the little flyer in the same direction that you liked, and you end up with a slightly like less consistent product, which may if it especially if there are damages or something like that may impact customer perceptions and service levels. And so that's a thing that you want to watch out for, that you want to be aware of, and that you want to consider for sure. Jay, do you have anything extra that you think would be worth adding when it comes to like branding issues, brand dilution, that kind of thing?
Well, they're going to use plain boxes where you can actually
Yeah.
brand your own boxes, brand your tape, all those things. You know,
Right.
does it matter? I don't know. but every box I get from Amazon has Amazon all over it.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
And so ultimately, like if it matters to you as the business owner, then it matters. And
yeah,
so if that's a thing that you really care about, that you truly think is important to you, then that's a potential issue, and definitely a thing to watch out for. And what other cons, Jay? I feel like we talked about most of the ones that I could think about. Are there any other 3PL downsides that we didn't touch on?
just the cost. At some point, it's going to start creeping up on you,
Right.
and it might be more advantageous to move it back in house at that point.
That's right. Yep.
It's the scale.
Yeah.
Is the cost of that capital enough to make the investment and move it in house? And you have cost on one side, brand, customer service on the other, and
Yep.
you got to weigh that out. That's how you
That's
make
right.
that decision, if or
Yep.
when to make that change.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what we'd like to leave you with today are some things to consider, some points to consider, some factors to some tips, that kind of thing, when it comes to making a decision like this. And so we've talked about all of them. So this is really just going to be a summary of that. But the factors to consider when using a 3PL, right, or when considering using a 3PL, the things that you definitely want to make sure that you're looking out for are what are the costs and what are the things that I'm going to be charged for. How does the shipping change from what I'm doing now to what I'll be doing going forward? Where does it come from? Like how does it impact overall shipping charges? Like all of that kind of thing, I think can be really important when considering a 3PL. And then the big one that we just talked about is the integration with our other technology. How does the 3PL talk to Shopify or whatever marketplace we're using, or how does it talk to our accounting system and our inventory management system if those aren't the same? Um,
Mm-hmm.
what, what are other factors that are important when considering a 3PL? Those are the big ones.
That's the big ones. I would say the reputation.
Yeah, of
Maybe
course.
looking at uh, now these will probably be internal reports, but like damage reports and things like that to see,
Right.
what other factors or costs will you run into.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and it
that's the
becomes real.
biggest thing there.
It feels like a throwback, but to that point, right? Like when you're considering partnering with a 3PL, go look at what their facility looks like, see what it is, see
Right.
how it operates, see what it looks like, see if it's all dusty and dirty, and the forklift drivers like backing into stuff everywhere. Like just take
Yeah.
take take a tour. I'm sure that's a thing that they'll do for you, and so you can get to see what the business looks like in a regular day. Um,
I would also ask for references, find out who
sure.
uses them, and place an
Right.
order or two from them, and get those
See
orders
how it
in and
goes.
see what they look like.
Right. Smush boxes are pristine.
Yep.
Um, it is a big thing for sure.
Well, the other thing is the product. You want to make sure it's not covered in dust and dirt as
Oh
well.
yeah, absolutely, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. What other factors do you think are important, Jay? Are there you have any tips for considering a 3PL? Um,
Well,
uh,
the biggest thing I would do is mystery shop them and get that information, see
mm,
what it all looks like.
yep.
Definitely, I would get references, talk to other companies using them. I would not only visit, let's say you're going to use the warehouse in your town, I would check that one out, but then I would also go to one, maybe you're planning a vacation somewhere, pop into the warehouse in New York or something like that. See what they got
Yeah.
going on
Right.
and make sure that they're consistent across all of their units.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you can't get up to New York, uh, ask for those references, right?
DFW, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Can't go to DF.
I just use that as an example.
No, no, no. And I mean,
Go
what I
to
mean is, yeah, just ask other people how they have
Sure.
had an experience with the different warehouses that they might be utilizing. Absolutely. Any other parting thoughts on 3PLs, Jay?
I would just say, that the pros and cons are very different when you're starting, when you're scaling, and when you are mature. You
Yep.
just want to make sure that you are weighing them at those times, at those levels. And, if you did it when you were starting out and you're scaling now, it's complete different factors. And you want to make sure that you are looking at it from a clear mind and not using what you had saw previously and not
Yep.
looking too far in advance. Looking at where you are today. And then also you have to take into account what the future is going to hold. So you can't just ignore the future, but don't make your decision based on the future. Make it based on today and how it's going to get you to the future.
Yep. I think that's a wonderful way to wrap up here. Is when you're selecting a 3PL, think
For
about
sure.
today and how it will get you to the future. Perfect way to wrap up. Speaking of which,
Cheers.
Jay, so what's going on now? So if we are wrapping up today and thinking about how it's getting us to the future, what are what's in the future? What's
Well,
going on?
I'm going
What's
to
the week?
finish this drink and then head out
Yeah,
my door.
yeah.
And I see what's on your shirt there.
I did
We
that on
we
purpose.
we have a gonna have a house full tonight to watch opening ceremonies.
Oh yeah, they already happened, right?
Yeah.
They just haven't aired yet.
Yeah. Well, they've been
Okay.
airing since 1:30. They're just gonna
Oh, are they
do
still going?
a updated, enhanced version of it at 7:30
Ah,
tonight. So yeah.
fantastic. Well, so for those of you who it wasn't super clear exactly what Jay is talking about, today is the opening ceremonies of the Paris Olympics, the 2024 Olympics. I am wearing my Team USA shirt. It's from Rio though, so it's a few years old now, just a few. But I'm super excited for the Olympics starting. I will be following closely, looking forward to the track and field, to seeing what Shikari and all the folks on the track and field side are able to achieve. Looking forward to seeing how many times if Katie Ledecky can like lap people. I feel like that's a thing that she gets close to doing if she's not already doing that. It'll be interesting to see and catch up with all the swimming. Obviously, we've talked about it before. I'm a huge basketball fan, so I'll be following Team USA and seeing what LeBron and Steph and Katie all on the same team can do. If Katie gets to play, if he's not hurt, so it should be good fun to watch all of that happen. To root on America and to maybe we can all come together, America. Um, we will see how that goes. And then of course I don't know exactly how we'll make it work. I don't know if we will, but I'm sure that if we showed my daughter the gymnastics, she would just be stuck on the TV. So
Yeah.
we might consider introducing her to Olympic gymnastics and that kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. But Olympics have always been something that I've enjoyed, and I look forward to enjoying them again this time. um, this specific weekend, my father-in-law came in the other day. We had we several months ago now had bought some shelving stuff for the garage, and I was too scared to hang it up by myself for fear that I wouldn't do it level. Or that I would do it the wrong way. So finally got that coordinated with my father-in-law to get the standards and the stuff in for some shelving stuff. So I'm gonna be spending the weekend putting shelves in and making sure that garage is getting a little more tidy. Um, but it should be a good weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. Jay, do we have anything to expect next week? Any interesting news on the horizon? Uh, any huge deadlines that I've somehow managed to forget? Hope not.
No, no deadlines. Just heading quickly towards the end of the seventh month of the year,
Yeah, already
which
over.
brings us to my daughter's 18th birthday.
Oh
We
boy.
are having a family dinner this
Yeah,
weekend, and
fun.
then she'll be celebrating next week. So we've got that to look forward to. But
That's
I'm
amazing.
mourning for the next 2 weekends because due to the Olympics, NASCAR's on hiatus.
Wow. An
Yeah,
Olympic break
because
for NASCAR, huh?
yes, a 2 week Olympic break because every NBC cameraman and operator is in
Oh yeah.
Paris.
All right,
So
that makes
yeah,
sense.
so yeah, so it's good. These
Couldn't get
guys,
Fox to broadcast these couple, huh?
yeah, but last weekend one of the drivers, one of my two drivers, Ryan Blaney, the 2023 champ, had a meltdown on the radio, and he was a uh, cuss filled tirade. So
Love it.
it was really, I loved it. I actually played it today like 4 times, but
There you go. Now he's
yeah,
got 2 weeks to
no
stew on it.
NASCAR there. Yeah, exactly. But something big coming up, yeah, nothing. Hopefully
All right.
this time next Friday we can report nothing's brewing in the tropics still, but I'm thinking something's going to pop up between now and then. So we
Well,
shall see.
we'll keep an eye on it. We'll make sure to highlight that along with any other news that
For
happens
sure.
between now and next week when we catch you again next week on the Rocks.
But
Thank you all for
but I do
listening.
have a question for you. But let's not jump off yet. I have one more question for you.
All right,
So you're a basketball fan. Tell
I am
me
a basketball
about the
fan.
new contract.
The
What are
new
your thoughts
contract
on the new
with TNT.
contract? Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so again, for those that aren't aware, the NBA was negotiating over the past season the air rights or the broadcasting rights for their product. They had partnered for what seems like forever, probably like my entire life, basically, with ABC, ESPN, and what is now Warner Brothers Discovery, right?
yeah.
Which is effectively Turner Sports, so TNT. Um, in this most recent round of negotiations, the TNT guys basically said, "We don't need you, NBA," and the NBA was like, "All right, no problem. We'll go to Amazon." And Amazon ponied up a boatload of money to get some broadcasting rights for the NBA on Prime, as well as NBC. So they added themselves to the mix, and I think ESPN is also still in the mix. But Turner, Warner Brothers, and all those guys, they were left out, and they tried to call the NBA's bluff. They were really sad about it now because they're like, wait a second, actually, we do need you, NBA. I'm so sorry that we did that. And to the point that they've actually started, and I think this is why it came up to you, Jay, right? As they have
Yeah.
they have sued the NBA to allow them to match the Amazon price. Uh, I don't know how that's going to go, but and ultimately I don't care. But the thing that I do think is going to be really sad because I don't think this is going to be successful. The thing that I do think is really sad is that TNT has hosted for truly probably like my entire life, just about inside the NBA, which
Yep.
is the nightly program or the program on the TNT nights with EJ, Kenny, Chuck, and then for the recent several many years, Shaq. And it's probably one of the best programs on TV. I remember watching Kenny and Chuck and talk about just all kinds of different things. This is where they let Chuck talk about whatever it is that's on his mind, and they give an insightful analysis about the basketball, but also just about like kind of everything. And so they've just always
Mm-hmm.
been a part of my life and my basketball viewership. And so it'll be sad to see that go because I don't think while Kenny, Shaq, Chuck, they may go to some other broadcasting team. I don't think Ernie's going to, and so that'll be sad. It's the end of an era. I know Chuck tweeted or something about it or sent a message. I don't know where it came from, but Chuck sent something around today about how he was excited for this last season, the one that's upcoming, because the broadcast rights don't start until not this season, but the following. And so this may be the last season of the NBA on TNT. So that means it would also be the last season of Inside the NBA, at least in its current form. And so I'm sure there's loads and loads of money in that. People love to watch Inside the NBA. And so I bet they'll figure something out. But it may not. It's unlikely to be the same. Which any
It
end
won't
of an
be
era
the same exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
any era like that's going to be sad.
yeah.
Um,
So
but it'd be nice
this
to
and
have basketball on a streaming platform. I think that'll be kind of fun.
right, right, and bringing this back to my side, to the NASCAR side,
Hmm.
2025 next year starts their new contracts, and
Oh,
Amazon and Warner Brothers Discovery are part of that deal, and
nice.
so there's going to be races on Max, going to be
Yeah,
races on Amazon's getting. They haven't announced all the streaming rights yet, but
sure.
Amazon has 5 races in the middle of the season,
Oh,
and
fun.
we don't know that. But the entire Xfinity series will be on the WB.
Oh,
So
crazy.
moving to broadcast, yeah,
Yeah,
really
right.
crazy. So
Yeah, that's wild.
it and a 20-25 year show on Fox, Race Hub, was canceled. So they've
Oh,
killed that. They've already killed it before the season
yeah,
even ended. So TV is shifting constantly right now, and
yeah.
it's almost as fun as politics to watch.
And it affects you about as much, probably
Right?
in the end.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so we will definitely see what happens there. Those types of things, I'm sure, take forever. Plus, it doesn't really matter for another like calendar year anyway, because that's when and then some, because the NBA season isn't till October. So
It goes on
um,
forever.
it'll be a while before we get to hear whoever comes up on Prime. Um, but I've also, especially as someone who is kind of cut away um, from cable TV and that type of thing, like it was nice to have the NFL games on Prime. And so
For
I do think
sure.
it's like a nice expansion, and it'll be fun to be able to watch basketball games on Prime too.
Yeah.
If they don't if TNT doesn't get to buy them back out. Anyway, so we'll see. But it'll be regardless. Anytime you think about that, really, like Arnie, Kenny, Shaq, they've been doing this, and Chuck too. They've been doing this for a really long time, right? So who
For
knows? I
sure.
mean, I think Chuck probably threatens to retire every offseason, uh, and he's made a lot of money, and so I'm sure he could if he
Sure
wanted
has.
to. Um,
Yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
so even if they do end up still back at TNT, you never know. Like at some point, it's gonna be the end of Inside the NBA, and no matter when that's
Most
going to be,
definitely.
it's gonna be sad. So um, we will see.
Yeah.
We'll follow up. We'll who maybe by then they'll have some really interesting like advertising thing that Amazon does through the basketball games somehow. So who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
It'll be the thing that I know with 100% certainty is that if they do it, it will be interesting, and it'll be fun to watch. So
And if they
looking
do it,
forward
it
to
will be
that.
done right as well.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
for sure. Well,
Yeah,
thanks for indulging me there. Yeah.
of course. Love it. Yeah, I could talk about that all day. Well, and for those of you who stayed to listen to me talk about Inside the NBA and NBA contracts, thank you for that as well. I hope you enjoyed the show today. We will be back next week, same time, same channel, same YouTube or whatever it is. So we'll see you then. In the meantime, have a great weekend. See you soon. Bye,
See you,
everyone.
everybody. Have a great weekend. We're out.